A silent voice, a journey through anxiety. So, what is social anxiety? Social anxiety is a condition in which social interactions, or even merely the thought of it, can cause irrational anxiety. Symptoms of social anxiety include excessive fear of being judged, worrying about embarrassment and humiliation, and being concerned about offending others. This condition takes a heavy toll on the person as it prohibits them from doing their work and building genuine social connections. And people who suffer from it find it really hard to do things as simple as parties or social gatherings or going to work and school, date, etc. It basically affects every part of their life. And this can also lead to suicide or suicide attempts. Social anxiety is also closely related to depression. Depression primarily refers to the consistent feeling of sadness and a low mood, which interferes with a person's ability to continue on with their daily life. It massively affects how one feels, acts, and thinks. People also tend to adopt certain coping mechanisms like bullying or feeling detached as a way to conceal their trauma and sadness. During the course of the movie, A Silent Voice, we see its portrayal and its effects. So let's take a look at the movie and how it artfully portrays it through a beautifully directed coming of age film. A Silent Voice is a 2016 Japanese animated film directed by Naoko Yamada. It follows the story of Shoya Ishida, our main character, and Shoko Nishimiya, a girl with a hearing disability. As elementary school children, Shoya bullied Shoko relentlessly due to this hearing disability, and he was supported by most of his classmates who also bullied her along with him, only to later be blamed for all of this, turning him into a social outcast. He was isolated and ostracized among his friends and peers in school due to this, and this eventually leads to Shoya developing social anxiety and isolating himself from all of his classmates and people in general. The movie explores mental health issues like anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and trauma, and their effects on these very human characters. It also showcases very beautifully the path to redemption and acceptance. In the movie, Shoya shows signs of social anxiety disorder as he finds it hard to connect with his peers in school and finds it difficult to make eye contact with people, resulting in him looking down while walking in the school hallways. This is portrayed in the movie by the way he sees crosses on the face of people around him as he finds it difficult to look at their faces. We see other instances of this, like in the beginning of the movie, when Shreya contemplates suicide but ultimately changes his mind. The movie coherently expresses the endemic relationship between disability and depression through its characters and how the bully, Shoya, is just as complex and sympathetic as the girl Shoko, who he bullies. This presents the characters as raw, real, and imperfect human beings. The movie does an amazing job of highlighting the issues that a real person with depression faces. Shoya chooses to bully others and take out his anger and depression from being bullied himself. He isolates himself from anyone who could even attempt to approach him, as seen by his interactions with other pupils in his class. The stickers plastered all around his peers, the cupping of his ears in public, all represent the uncontrollable, alienating feeling that comes with depression and social anxiety. For Shoko, depression was portrayed by her feeling of invisibility, where she feels unheard, unseen, and misunderstood. We see instances of this in the movie when we see her slipping into the feeling when she realizes she may never hear from one of her ears due to the incident in her childhood. A Silent Voice shows that bullying during childhood is a process that may finally be beaten with self acceptance. Suicide is an intentional act of self harm causing one's own death. People with disabilities appear to be significantly more likely to think about, plan, and/or attempt suicide than people without disabilities, according to a report in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. Their ailment robs them of their self-esteem, and they always feel dependent on their helpers, and this triggers suicidal thoughts. We see this in the movie A Silent Voice, as Shoko Nishimiya thinks of herself as a burden on her family and friends. She feels that her disability stops her from expressing herself as well as understanding others. She always wears a mask of happiness and apologizes so that she can save her loved ones from the sadness. Through the course of the movie, she couldn't take it anymore and finally tried to kill herself by jumping off her apartment building when nobody was home. Suicide can also be manifested by self conscious feelings like guilt and shame that can make a person doubt his or her self worth. These feelings can be emotionally devastating if they are not expressed and tackled in a healthy manner. We see an example of this in the movie when Shoya Ishida, who is so guilty about his childhood deeds that he starts pushing away everyone. He believes that he deserves to be lonely for all the things that he had done in his past and for the fact that he had bullied a deaf girl and scarred her for life. He feels unworthy of companionship and wants to end his own life. We see this in the beginning of the movie as he contemplates jumping off of a bridge but stops for the thought of Shoko. At the climax of the movie, we see that Shoya has accepted his past and himself as he truly is, which allows him to finally look into other people's eyes with confidence. This is portrayed in a very physical manner by the way the crosses peel off of people's faces in this scene.